How can we help our children when they become anxious? Whilst the temptation is very often to take them along to a professional to get them fixed, there's actually a lot that parents can do to get children past those times of high anxiety. I'm Tim Box, and in this video I once again chat with child anxiety expert Howard Cooper and find out the best ways of teaching our kids how to deal with and reduce their anxiety levels. A couple of weeks ago, I got the chance to pick the brains of my good friend and colleague, Howard Cooper. Now, Howard works with children regularly to help them overcome anxiety, and I very much consider him to be an expert on this topic. In this second part of that interview, Howard shares some amazing tips on how we can teach our kids the best ways of managing their emotions and generating resilience and self-efficacy. Let's get straight into it.
Probably the question that probably most parents are thinking that are watching this is, so when my child comes to me and is clearly excessively anxious, what can I do then? What action?
Okay, so number one,
yeah.
I think it's not just about what you do, it's also what you don't do, which is, I think, if you immediately go down the sort of the platitudes of, no, just don't worry, it'll be all right, it's not that effective.
No.
Right? And the kid just feels like they haven't been heard.
Right, yeah.
And a story I've often told, and I told it on my YouTube recently that I released on 3 tips for parents on this exact topic.
I'll put a link to that video up on this one. Yeah.
Great. But I talk about my son who became afraid of fire when he was 5 years old. I think he'd watched some YouTube kids clip of the fire of London and would just like scream at night, Daddy, I'm afraid of fire. And I'd come running up like, what? And I caught myself like for a few days just going like, no, it's fine. Don't worry. You'll be all right.
Yeah.
And he just kept doing this, like, I'm afraid of fire. And so eventually I suddenly thought, why am I telling him it's all right? Like, hold on a second. Fire's dangerous. Like, what sort of parent tells their kids that fire is okay? Like, yeah, no, fire's fine. Yeah, let's all play tomorrow in it. Of course it's okay. It's not right. So next time he started screaming, Daddy, I'm afraid of fire. I go up the stairs and I said to him, you know what, George, I've been thinking about it and you're absolutely right. Fire is dangerous. And he just was like, what? No. I was right all this time? Right. And I said, but because it's dangerous, let me show you how we keep ourselves safe. And I showed him the fire alarm. He didn't know that we had fire alarms or smoke alarms in the house.
Right. Yeah.
So now he was like, so I showed him the sound it makes. And then I go up the next few nights when he called and was like, he'd go, Daddy, I'm afraid of fire. And I go, shh, what can you hear? And he'd be like, nothing. I'd be like, right, what does that mean? He'd be like, oh yeah, means I'm safe.
Yeah.
Now, all that was happening was I was teaching him to navigate his own sense of safety.
Yes, to find his own solutions to his concerns.
Right. And I've seen this applied to so many things that essentially a lot of the times when kids are anxious, if you really probe like, well, what are you really anxious about?
Yeah.
More than just fire. Right. And then you start thinking, well, like, how do I keep safe from that thing? How do I navigate my sense of safety? It's often that's the missing piece that if we can give them.
Yeah.
You know,
well, this is the thing, because I think when we say, no, there's nothing to worry about, they've already formulated the truth that fire is, I've found that out in some way, that fire is dangerous. So when we're saying there's nothing to worry about, that's just bouncing off them because it's not the truth, is it? So yeah, I get what you're saying. We've got to almost sort of answer those objections, haven't we? We've got to answer that.
Right.
Yeah.
And to give a different example, I remember working with a young girl who was terrified that she was going to get locked in after school. So then the final bell went, and the kids went out, she would just have panic and leap out and run out because she was terrified of being locked in school all night by herself.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And the parents just kept saying, no, it won't happen. It'll be all right. It won't happen. It'll be all right. It won't happen. It'll be all right. And I said, well, I can understand why that would be scary because you don't want to be alone.
Yeah. And
in fact, the teachers don't want that either. So can we find out what's the process of how does the school navigate and make sure that no one's there?
Yeah.
And it turns out she didn't know. There's a caretaker whose job it is to go around the classrooms and check
yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm safe.
Because she's just picturing, you hear the bell and that's it. Like it's Indiana Jones, the shutters are going down and you've got to roll under just in time. But that was her truth.
Yeah.
But grown-ups just no different.
I think one of the common things that parents come to people like us with is, my kids are getting anxious about exams coming up and things like that. And I think what you just said there is really telling, because exams are worrying, they're concerning, they're important. It might be the most important thing that our kids have dealt with in up to this moment in their life, in terms of the most ongoing consequences of however they do in this, how they perform in this next few weeks or whatever. So I'm always saying, look, I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling anxious about that particular thing. That's kind of a natural response. It's not like you need professional help because you're struggling, because we're all concerned and worried when it comes to the results of something that's important. So I remember when I was going through this with my exams, and I think I was quite fortunate because my parents, their attitude was very much like, as long as you do your best, then we're happy. It doesn't matter. What you were saying about the results thing, putting the emphasis on the results. They didn't do that. They didn't say, I want you to get these grades. They were like, we've got great faith in you in terms of your ability when you do your best. So do your best and we're happy no matter what happens, and that sort of, it lifted any external pressure. I had my own pressure on me that I really want to do well. I want to go to a grammar school and then I want to go to university and things like that. So I had my own pressures I put on me, but they weren't then putting their expectations on top of that. So it was like, okay, I can manage my own stuff. If that makes sense?
It makes total sense. And the word expectations is hugely important there, because I've often had this thing where kids will come in and be like, I'm really terrified about failing my exams. I'm like, who wants the good results? Because often it's not the kids. It's that what the parents have done is the parents have gone, I will be so disappointed if you don't do as well as I think you can, and so on. So actually, they're not feeling the pressure of the results. What they're feeling is the pressure of meeting their parents' approval. That's a very different thing.
And this thing, we get why parents do that, don't we? Because they want to make sure, look, take this seriously. Because, we see kids not taking things seriously. And then before they know it, they've not taken it seriously and they've done badly. And that's a lot of their chances for the future now impacted. But in their efforts to get the kid to realize what these exams mean, we then pile extra pressure on them, don't we?
We do, and it's funny. I often do this demonstration when I'm working with adults, and if I say to you now, we can do it, right? Close your eyes, Tim. Go. No, I was going to say go to sleep. No, close your eyes and just close your eyes. Just say to yourself in your head, I have to relax right now, in your mind, and notice how that feels. And then switch the words to I'd like to relax, and notice the difference. What's the difference for you between I have to relax and I'd like to relax?
Well, it's the difference between a pressure situation and a desirable situation, I suppose.
Right. So open your eyes and tell me, if the goal was to help you relax, what would be most effective?
Well, probably the second one, the focusing on I'd like to relax.
Right. And here's what happens. Parents often are like, well, I don't just want them to do well. They have to do well. It's like, right. And if you're communicating to the kid, you must do well and you must do your best and you must listen and you must achieve, then actually what happens is their body is just going into this total state of like, And if they really want them to do well, this response that they're eliciting from their kids is like the least helpful. Much better to be a parent and go, listen, so that they can do well, I'd like you to do well. Of course, we'd like that, but you don't have to. Let
me ask this then. Is there a point? Because, I mean, I know that you speak the same sort of language as me on this in terms of the best thing we can do for our kids is for our parents to become educated in how to lead the way, if that makes sense.
You say it so diplomatically. I've been known to say, I think adults need to sort their own shit out first. But let's go with your phraseology.
This is my channel. Let's do it. Do it.
Absolutely. I would never even try and just slip that in.
Exactly. I appreciate that.
Good.
But is there a point when it's time to reach out to professionals now? And what point would you say that was, if there is?
It's a really good question. I don't think there's a cast iron, black or white fixed like figure of, but here's my kind of thinking around it, which is I've so often had calls from parents who are like, 2 weeks ago, my child ran away from a dog because it came, and can you help them and fix them with dogs? And like the questions I would say, well, first of all, how intrusive is it into their life? And is it that it's more intrusive into the parent's life or the child's life? Because let's be honest, it's a bit irritating when you've got a kid going, I don't want to go out to the park in case there's a dog. And now you have to like coax and navigate. And, you know, it's a bit annoying. And I would like someone to just fix them. That would be nice. But if it's not really intrusive to the kid and the kid doesn't expressing an interest in change, then I would say kind of just leave it be and give them time and space to develop some self-efficacy and self-discipline and see if they can overcome it themselves rather than someone just fixing them. Having said that, if they are consistently going, I just feel down because I'm trying to get over something and it's really problematic and I really want this to be different and I can't, please, can you help? Can you help? Or is there anything I can do? And it's coming from them. Then absolutely. And this is not about, I think what this is being led by them.
I really hope this video has been of value. I'll put a link to Howard's channel in the description box below, so be sure to check that out. Howard also has a book out called The Rustle of Leaves, which I would urge any parent who wants to help their child understand and get control of anxiety to grab a copy of. Look out for part 3 of this interview coming next week, as Howard and I go on to discuss the pressures we get put under these days to be the very best parents we can be, and how we manage our anxieties about trying to do all we can for our kids. Do let me know if you've enjoyed this video by commenting down below. Please hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for weekly mind management tips and anxiety advice. But that's it for now. I'm Tim Box, Mind Coach. Always remember to be kind to your mind, and I'll see you next time.